Good afternoon. So thanks for listening today. What we've got in Ausgold is one of the largest undeveloped open-cut gold mines in Western Australia. It's a fairly simple, straightforward story. We're going to be creating, I think, a new industry in what's previously been a part of the wheat belt. But we're not alone. There are a number of other neighbours there. So I'll take you through what we're doing, which I think is a really exciting story, and it's a new industry for this region. So just a quick snapshot. I think fantastic. Technology's working. Just a quick snapshot of what we are, who we are. Ausgold. At the moment, there's 3 directors. We're in a process of board renewal at the moment as we're taking this through definitive feasibility studies and into construction. You'll start to see a more operational board coming to the forth. Currently, we have just a bit over 2 billion shares on issue, about nearly $5 million in the bank, and they'll take us through our studies process. We've got a strong register. Our top shareholders, Dundee Goodman, are very supportive, as are Jupiter, and the directors hold 6%. So what the company looks like, we've got a large resource base, over 3 million ounces. We put out a maiden ore reserve as part of our pre-feasibility study last year of nearly 1.3 million ounces. That gives us a 10-year life of mine. What we've done subsequently to the pre-feasibility study is have a look at a few of the options there. And what we've settled on for our definitive studies is a larger throughput, where we've stepped it up from a 3 million tonne project to 5 million tonne per annum. And that gives us a much larger ounce profile. Over the first 6 years, it's over 155,000 ounces. So it's a large project. But that still retains those fantastic metrics that we reported in the pre-feasibility study, including that high internal rate of return of 46%. What you'll see over the next little while, further work in terms of the resource and the studies, that DFS will come out early in the first quarter, as well as some of the work we're doing in the exploration front. So just to give you some scale and the location where we're at, we've got a very large ground holding as we were first movers in this part of the southern portion of the Yilgarn Craton, which is one of the largest gold producing regions in the world. People ask about this because it's not normally seen as a mining jurisdiction. It's a lot of wheat and sheep in our neck of the woods, but Australia's largest gold mine is Boddington over here, the world's largest spodumene deposit at Greenbushes as well. And I'm sure you're all familiar with the Julimar project up here. So there is a lot of interest, there is a lot of work going on. We've got the largest, if not one of the largest ground holdings in the region, and we've put our foot on a lot of the key gold prospects. So I'll talk about that upside and the prospectivity we see in that ground holding. Our project here near Katanning is really, I guess, the focus at the moment, but we'll also talk to what we're doing on the non-gold campaign as well, because we see there's some value in terms of lithium exploration around the project. This is just a dashboard showing the key metrics for the project, a 10-year mine life, a 1.28 million ounce ore reserve, a large mineral resource, which we put out in September this year. Again, that nameplate production of 5 million tonnes per annum, giving us 135,000 ounces over the 10 years. But the first 6 years are the important ones because they're that financing period, and that rapid payback, I think, is also something that you should note. The met's very simple. It's a free milling ore body. And I've done a lot of work since the PFS to improve some of those metallurgical recoveries. It's a very, very straightforward project, and I'll take you through what it looks like shortly. Just going back to what we've done with that resource, there's a lot of geological confidence. We've put a lot of work into this. There's over 300,000 metres of drilling into this area. We've been very economical with our resource conversion. It's about $11 per resource ounce. So I think we've done a great job, and that's a real credit to our geologists in the company. Just highlighting, I guess, some of the importance of grade early in the project. One of the things that's worth noting is, although it's a 1.3 gram head grade, early on it's closer to 1.7, and that really drives a lot of that value and that fast payback that we see in our studies work. So what I'll do now is just take you through the project. Some 3D here so you can actually see what it looks like and understand the project. It's a large area. It's about 17 kilometres strike length, and that's golden soils anomalism, and you can see that across the region. This structure up here around data time is quite important, and I'll talk to you about some of the regional prospectivity. There's some differences up there, but some very high-grade mineralisation that we're chasing up as part of our exploration. The main resource areas all sit on mining licences, so that part of the approvals process is already completed, and it's part of the historic operations that we see there that were done in the late 90s. But that gives us a real head start. So what we'll do now is zoom in on what we call the central zone. We've been fairly imaginative. We call it southern, central and northern zone. The central zone is really where the action is. It's 90% of the resource and reserves. You can see here the extent of the resource block model, and we'll just zoom in looking at that central zone area, because again, that's really where most of our value is driven. It may be a little bit small to see on the screen, so I'll zoom in there, but you can see some very high-grade intercepts along here, what we call jinkers, and that's that first lode that we mine into in those first couple of years. So we're actually mining high-grade ore early on. This ore body has a number of these high-grade shoots. The two very important ones that I'll refer to as jinkers and Jinkers South, which is this area out here. And we made that discovery, and there was a 26 at 6.6 gram intercept, and we followed it up with 16 metres at 6 and 12 metres at 3. And then we started to feel that this project would jump very rapidly in terms of scale, and that's really what we've seen play out over the last couple of years. What that looks like in long section, so we're looking towards the west here. You can see those pits I just showed you from the DFS, and you can see underneath it, we've been using geophysical techniques called downhole EM. The guys at Bellevue used that early on in their exploration. It's been very effective here too, and you can see these plates, these square boxes, and that high-grade Jinkers shoot and the Jinkers South shoot there as well. And that's alongside our geological modelling, it's been able to give us, I guess, a very efficient way of exploring this ore body, because we know where these high-grade shoots are, and we can be a bit more surgical with our exploration targeting and drilling. And this is what you'll see in some of our ASX releases. It's more of a cartoon view of it, but you can see those two shoots there very clearly. And you can also see the opportunity in the future for an underground in this area here, where you see that EM plate. We haven't drilled that yet, but we do recognise the prospectivity there. We've really been focusing on the open cut. We've got nearly 1.3 million ounces, 10 years mine life. We'll wait to cash flow before we go to town on some of those deeper targets. And this again is really just showing the geometry of the ore body. You can see that folding, the repeated units. There's three main geological units there that host the gold mineralisation, again in cross-section. And we'll just skip through this. But if you want to have a closer look, I'm happy to sit with you down in the next room. Central zone's our focus, but we do see opportunities in what we call the southern zone here as well. So this is about 8 kilometres of strike length. We know it's mineralised, there's soils anomalies, there's air core drilling along this. We've really just tapped the northern part of this, what we call dingo. You can see this high-grade mineralisation at surface. There's a much more extensive resource now. Those pits are from the pre-feasibility study, but I expect to see these areas over here to the south to become part of that that resource or reserve. And as I mentioned early on, data time's a really interesting area, quite different geometry and sitting along a different structure to the main resource areas. But we've seen some very high grade mineralisation, and particularly along this structure here where the data time deposit's located, just up here, the main gold project along here. That's about 5 kilometres from where we're going to put our processing facility. But the other areas I think are worth noting are the Stanley project and Duggan up here in the northeast. We've been seeing some very good results from there, and it has been a focus of our gold exploration. You can see in that red circle on the drill core just here, some free gold. It's about a centimetre long, so it does quite exciting to see that, as was the 100-gram dirt that it was associated with. Stepping towards the east, this is about a 30-kilometre drive along sealed roads, is the Stanley project. It's a joint venture with Cygnus. We've held the blocks either side of it, so it's great to get this little patch of ground in the middle. But you can see again, like data time, some very high grades in there. You don't need a lot of tonnage here. These high grade materials sort of backfill some of that, the lower grades we see late in the life of mine, and I think would extend the project's life quite considerably, as with Duggan as well. So that's another area that we're fairly encouraged by, and you can see some of the grades there. We've seen a lot of transactions recently, really just looking at lithium prospectivity, and if you look at this region, on our western side, we've got the world's largest lithium project at Greenbushes. On the eastern side, we've got Mount Catlin, SQM out there. So there's some real prospectivity, and what we're sitting in is a gap, and it's a knowledge gap. It's not a geological gap in terms of mineralisation. So we've gone out, we've mapped out 2,500 square kilometres of greenstones. We've engaged with RRS consultants to help us with this generative process, and now we're going out and testing some of these targets. We've got 14 high priority areas that we're working in within our 2,500 square kilometres. We've seen some rocks that are looking very, very prospective. We're working through that. They've got the right chemistry, and now the next step is to put in some drilling along some of these major structures that we think are highly prospective, and expect to see that over the coming months. Our main focus for our exploration activities is during the summer months. We're working largely on agricultural land, so we tend to work in around what the farmers are doing, and that really helps with those community relationships. So look, the takeaways from this, it's one of the largest, if not the largest, undeveloped open-cut gold mine in Western Australia. We're steaming ahead with our DFS and expect to see that early in the new year. We've already got a maiden ore reserve of nearly 1.3 million ounces with a resource of over 3 million ounces. We see opportunities within that deposit itself, but also regionally to expand this quite considerably. The high grades early in the life of mine generate very attractive financial returns, including an extremely good internal rate of return of over 46%. We're continuing on with other studies as well, including a focus on the lithium. We see that there's some real opportunities there for Ausgold. So thanks for your attention, and I'm in the next room if anyone wants to sit down with me.